once again, we're stopping by this fake library here at the Paradox offices to find out a little bit more about the 5th expansion of Crusader Kings II. And it's I don't think I've ever done an interview on the 5th expansion of anything.
Really? Well, our expansions aren't really that huge. They're a bit smaller than we used to do for previous games like Victoria 2 and Hearts of Iron 3 and so on. So these expansions are, I wouldn't call them micro expansions, but they're a little bit smaller. And yes, this is the 5th one.
But the idea is that it sort of changes the way you play the entire game, and you can get a different taste for it, right?
Well, it depends on the expansion. This one, we're going back to our roots, essentially, and changing the gameplay for the Christian countries and the Muslims. And we're also adding Judaism to the game. So the reason it's called Sons of Abraham is that you can play, or we kind of deepen the gameplay for the 3 Abrahamic religions.
I guess religion is like at the core of what Crusader King is all about. But it's nice to go back to that sort of core thing and rework that a little bit and revisit that.
Yeah, well, there were some things we were not entirely happy with, so we now have a chance to redo that a little bit. Also, you know, we were adding the College of Cardinals, which is the mechanic whereby the Pope is elected. And that's something they have in Europa Universalis 4, and we wanted to do something similar for CK2.
So it's a little bit of a crossbreeding thing there.
A little bit.
Does it work the same way, or is it different in any way?
No, it works very differently. Essentially, Crusader Kings 2 is a character-based game, so these are 9 actual characters in the game, the cardinals, and they decide together when the Pope dies who should succeed him, basically. And then you can spend some money to get him elected from your country. And it's a good thing that the Pope owes you some favors, because the Pope is very powerful in medieval times, of course. You know, you can call in some favors from the Pope. For example, he can grant you a claim on a title, or give you some money even. You know, you can invade other people as well if the Pope gives you his blessing.
So, and I also noticed that there's a way to sort of get rid of people you don't want at your court as well, thanks to this new system.
That's true. You can actually order people to take the vows. So, you know, if you have a courtier, perhaps a son even, that you know, it's not your favorite son, you can say, hey, you know, it's time to, you know, don the frock and become a monk somewhere, you know, so. And that's a good way of disinheriting them, so that they will not be able to inherit your titles as well.
Is there, because you know, when you look at a lot of fiction, there's the church is pretty power hungry. Is there like a way to play that side, or are you sort of strictly keeping it that you play the sort of the monarch side of things? Yeah,
well, Crusader Kings 2 is a game about dynasties, and we want to keep the focus on that. And of course, you know, you didn't really. If you were a prince bishop or something, it wasn't your son who succeeded you, unfortunately. So that would kind of destroy the core gameplay. So unfortunately, no, you cannot play the Pope, you cannot play as these bishoprics around Europe. And they don't really act as if they were sort of they don't really, or do they grab for power as well, or? They do, but they've always done that. I mean, they can revolt if they're unhappy, just as any feudal lord can do. So I guess what's the sort of the you want to launch this pretty soon, I guess. Where are you at with it? Yeah, the release date is actually November the 18th, so it's quite close to release. Yeah. And beyond the Sons of Abraham, you've been working on Crusader Kings for a very long time. Are you going to keep on releasing these expansions, and what's the roadmap? Well, it all depends on, you know, as long as people keep buying the game, we're going to keep making DLCs and expansions for the game, obviously. And I think we're probably going to do at least 3 more expansions, I would think. Right. Any hints at what kind of subjects you might want to revisit or expand with? I can reveal that we're probably going to try and deepen the storytelling and RPG part of the game a little bit. That's something I've always wanted to do. So it's quite possible that we'll try to add some deeper storytelling elements to the game. Intriguing. I guess the beauty of storytelling with a game like this is that you have a base story, but you expand it in your head.
you fill out a few of the details of the sort of the visuals of it, perhaps with your imagination. But how would you want to expand in such a way, or is it too early to talk about that?
Well, I can't really say exactly, but there are some events in the game, for example, that plays out over a long time, so that the stuff you do and the choices you make actually have consequences years down the line, perhaps even for your descendants. For example, there is an event chain called the Gates of Hell, which works like that, and I think it's pretty cool, and I want to add more very rare events that you don't see very often, but then quite a few of them, so that every game there's a new interesting odd event chain basically that you haven't seen before.
Sounds very, very interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.